Hello and welcome to the 30th webinar in 12D's Industry Solutions webinar series, although it's the first one for 2018. My name is Lisa Stewart and I'm the Marketing and Communications Coordinator here at 12D Solutions. Our Industry Solutions webinars are designed to provide insights into overcoming challenges in an evolving industry in more effective and efficient ways. We'll keep running these webinars regularly and recording them for posting on our YouTube channel with links through our website. Our first 29 webinars from this Industry Solutions series, as well as 33 webinars from our training series, are available online if you missed those. During this live presentation, you'll be able to type your questions along the way. We'll put some instructions on the screen. We'll answer as many of those as possible throughout the webinar, and at the end, I'll read out some of your questions to the presenter if there's time. Today's webinar, 2017 in Review and What's in Store for 2018, will be presented by our co-founder and managing director, Dr. Leigh Gregory, who has 37 years of experience in the civil software industry. Leigh will take you on a tour of what happened for us during 2017 and what's in store for the exciting year to come. Over to you, Leigh.
Thank you, Lisa. Welcome to the 2017 Review and What's in Store for 2018 webinar. Now that's a mouthful to say. I've had to practice it for quite a while. So often a number of you will be saying, why didn't you see very much of Leigh during 2017? Basically, I had a little bit of an accident and so couldn't get out the office very much because of this boot on my foot. I pulled the tricep off my arm and have had an operation to reattach it, so it's pretty well right, and also pulled the Achilles tendon off my foot, and I had to go in a boot so to try and reattach itself. So I probably will need an operation for that, but basically they told me when it finally fails and you fall over, then we'll fix it. So I call that diagnosis by disaster. So moral of the story, don't dial on your phone and walk at the same time, or you'll trip over like I did and end up a wreck. During 2017, the resellers, and we have various resellers around the place, and we divide Australia up into different regions. For a 12D model, it was EXDS, who look after New South Wales, ACT, and South Australia. So that's Tony Ingold and his fantastic team. And they've had a record year in 12D model sales for that financial year. For 12D Synergy, it was 12D New Zealand. So that's the Lane's team, although it's probably now more a separate 12D Synergy team and run by James Irwin. And again, that was a record year for 12D Synergy in New Zealand. So congratulations to both those groups. Now for 12D 2017, what do we get up to? Well, for 12D Model 12, we continue with some enhancements. We've been developing 12D Model 14, and now you'll notice there is no 13 there. We've jumped over 13 and going straight from 12 to 14. And that's been under development, getting ready for release in 2018. 12D View 12, that's been under development and we had an initial release of it. I'll come back to each of these again later. 12D Synergy 3, that has been out there and has continued having some enhancements. And 12D Synergy 4 has been under development, ready for release in 2018. And we've also had new training courses and data sets that have been used in 2017. We've had the 12D and the 12D Synergy websites. They've continued to have updates throughout the year. We've been giving industrial solutions webinars, of which this is the first one for the new year. Training webinars, which have been very successful. And with our YouTube, we both have 12D Model and 12D Synergy channels. We now have perpetual and or subscription licensing for 12D Model. So it's your choice. You're not forced to do subscription. You can have the perpetual just as you used to before, which certainly works out much cheaper over the long term. And we also have new 12D Model What's New summary reports. And those who've seen us posting upgrade versions on the 12D forum would have seen that we can list what's in every new C1A, C1B, C1C, and so on, and summarize them for you. So just one-liners to let you know easily what's gone on. And we also have credit card facilities. So if you do wish to pay for a credit card, it's quite possible. And for our upcoming conference, you can use online credit card to check in for it and register. And what's coming in 2018, well, we've got our international conference, which will be held in Brisbane later this year, and I'll come back to that. The Innovation Awards, which all of you, is for you to get money out of us, so it's a change there where we pay you rather than the other way around. We're releasing 12D Model 14 at the conference. 12D View 14 will again be released at our conference, and 12D Synergy 4 will be released at the conference. So there's a lot of things happening. We're going to have more industry solutions and training webinars and new training course topics we introduced during 2018. So I'll go into more detail on each of these areas. So as far as our website, it's been continually updated, and a lot of the information I'll be discussing will be pointed to on the new updated website. For example, the 12D webinars, if you click on there, you'll see it comes up and tells you about it, and you'll see that the list is now split into basically separate lists because we're getting too many of them to put them just on one page. So we've got our upcoming industry solutions and some of the videos that we've just done. The upcoming training ones are there, and there's a separate section then links to the previous webinars, which once we've done a webinar, we do the video fairly quickly and stick it up on YouTube so anyone can see it afterwards. With 12D model training, we've actually been working on the courses quite a bit over the last few years, so they're all now integrated, which were introduced in 2017, although we're still doing a lot of them in 12D Model 11. We had a new integrated data set, so it all worked together for a much larger job than just the Barwon one, and so you could use the same data set right through the whole of all your training. We also have the courses which are made up of 2 to 4 hour units, and then the courses may be made up of 1 or 2 of these. It means then if we're doing in-house courses, we can give you a list of smaller units so you can make up your own in-house training from those. So it allows us to be much more flexible when we're putting together in-house courses, and our own online public courses then are made up of these units as well. So we still run both public and in-house courses, and in 2018 our training will be in 12D model version 12, so no longer 12D model 11. We did a bit of both in 2017, but it'll all be in 2018 it'll be all in version 12. Unless for an in-house course you want to do an older version. We do have a few new courses that are starting in 2018, and I'm certain there'll be more of these. But the first one is going to be on one AR&R 2016. I'll come back and mention what that is, Australian rainfall and runoff, a bit later on, and also one on civil BIM. So this is how to actually create and get data out of 12D model to go into BIM systems, and also how to read data in. We've also on there have access to our 12D forum. The 12D forum is where you go to post questions. We put new releases and things up there. So it's actually anyone who's on maintenance can register for the forum, and that's where we have most of our information. So there's an area where people can post questions, tell us if there's any bugs, and help each other out as well. There's also where we put our software downloads, and so in that section there, they're posted, so all our things are there. So at the moment, say we've got up there, the official release installs the 12D model 12 C1J, the 12D View 12 C1I, and then 12D model 11 C1P. So that's the place to go when you want to see what new things we've actually been adding for releases, and just to get a whole lot of information about 12D model. Our videos are on YouTube, so again, access can be through our website. Basically, we have over 600 12D videos now on both 12D model and 12D Synergy, plus a whole lot of training ones, and EXD have a lot on their site as well. So plenty for you to go and see and find out and self-train, or just look at bits and pieces on options rather than having to read about them. And the videos are basically broken into groups of playlists of related videos. So sometimes a video may be in 2 or 3 places because it's there for of interest to 2 or 3 different groups. But they're rather than just having 600 of them, you can click on a playlist and get the ones you want. So things like all our conference videos from the past are up there, and our webinars will go up there, and a lot of our training information as well, or just little bits of information to help you use 12D Model and 12D Synergy. There's a section on civil BIM and digital engineering. As we know, BIM is the new big buzzword that everyone's into. The problem is, of course, is that civil BIM is not the traditional type of BIM, and so everyone's learning a bit about it. And we're doing a lot more for people with it. So basically, all our data in 12D Model, you can make what we call objects, 3D objects, to go out to BIM already, apart from a few things like tins and, say, your alignment strings. I'll come back to that as well. But we've been very active in the international community in defining civil or infra BIM. This is the extensions to allow us to handle civil data, rather most BIM has really been about buildings, i.e. vertical, where this is horizontal. So we've been attending the Building Smart International IFC Summits, which is the place that goes to define the IFC standards for open BIM. So the IFCs that people are supposed to use for infrastructure. So that's been very important. So we've also been an active participant in what they call the IFC Model Setup, IDM. Now, what that's all about is tell you how you should set up a large project. So normally BIM is just in a very restricted area. This is say, well, how do we handle it when we've got something like a large road or a large railway job, and you've got all these scale factors and other horrible things coming in. So the IDM is the Information Delivery Manual. So it's to tell you how you can set up such a project. And we've been giving talks for Building Smart around Australia as part of that. And we also have a pilot project running with the main roads in Queensland, TMR, where we're actually looking at what's called a IFC alignment 1.1. And that's what we're doing is reading and writing in 12D Model so we can test out the definitions for alignment and tins that are coming out in IFC 4X1, which is due out later this year. So we're ahead of the game there by quite a way. And so here's an example for that pilot project, which we presented over at in London and previously in Korea. So you can see it's hard work here. The next one is in Paris, but someone has to do it. And in this case, all our data there on the left-hand screen, which includes tins, all the solids for under the roads and things. There's also a drainage network in there and a sewer network. They all now, with IFC alignment 1.1, can be written out, and then on the right-hand side, we've read all the data back in. So you can see now virtually all the things, most of the things that we're going to have in 12D Model will be able to be written out to IFCs once the IFC alignment 1.1 is released. There are a few things I'm missing. Things like super tins don't exist in the IFC definition, and it's a little bit vague that you really can't have segment and vertex attributes. So you really can only have string attributes, but they're the things we're discussing and what else can go in. So with that particular job, so we can get all the strings crossed, including drainage strings, the alignment string, super alignment I hear, we're talking about super alignment when I say alignment, and also tins go happily across. And so once the data is read back in, you see there we've just done the shade, it all comes in quite well. Some of the colours at the moment we're just working on what they get lost, but the main thing is the data essentially goes across. For 12D Model 12, which was actually released at the conference, but we've continued to update it. And they're what we call subversions. So you would have seen we talk about 12D Model 12 C1A. That was the very first release of it. Then we've got C1B, C1C, and so on. Now, these subversions are a couple of reasons. One, we can make bug fixes as we find them, because we can't test everything to oblivion. We can make bug fixes, but also there's extra features we put in there because when we first release the product, there might be something that we weren't able to do at the time, or new things have come up that you need and can't wait till the next release for. So although we say there's a 2-year release cycle, the major thing, there are these continual update versions along the way. So you are getting increased functionality for our maintenance with these extra sub versions that we put out. So for example, for version 12, things we've added since C1A, and just some small things, in ADAC, which is for getting data in, and ADAC is really a BIM system, That's from the IPWA. We have the standards for that, and it had ADAC 4.1, then 4.0 it started off with, but during the year 4.2 came out. So we've added that to version 12 so everyone can actually use it. Similarly, DWG 2018 came out, and we've now been able to read and write DWG 2018. That's always a problem with AutoCAD because their format is proprietary and not published, and so it's really encrypted. So we have to do a lot of work there. So we can't do it straight away. We have to wait till the people have worked out the black box what's actually in there before we can get the libraries to do it. But we try and get it out as soon as possible for you. We have view controls on views. That just allows you to move the views around much more easily if you're on a tablet. So very helpful for tablet users. Our 12D objects to tri-meshes, that's been upgraded quite a bit, especially for drainage and sewer networks. So you get a lot more information in there, and that ties back to the drainage.4D file. So that's going to be much better BIM models for people. Also, there's some of our options you can hit the escape key and it will actually stop it running. And we now, when that's available in an option, it'll put down the output window saying there's escape is available in this option. So you don't have to second guess. You'll see a message here to say, look, I can hit escape now to stop that option running. I don't have to wait till it completes. There's a pavement generator. Now, Peter Taten and Paul have been working on this. This is where you can take your design and start adding all the 3D layers very quickly under it. So it can be used even by designers when they've got their surface and you do your pavement layers later, or construction people who then often only get the stop surface design strings, allows them to build up all the pavement layers they need for setting out the job in the field. And similarly, there's a whole lot of things that Paul's actually done there with materials and attributes and collecting information, again, a lot of it going out to BIM systems. We've added tri-mesh head walls into the drainage.4D file, and that then can be used by the 12D objects to tri-meshes, so you can get much more accurate work there. What's happened with the drainage side is now with BIM, where people are all of a sudden wanting very detailed models of things, where before they weren't so worried, they were just doing analysis. So we're adding all those sorts of things in so you can model these things to the nth degree. Unfortunately, that often means you need some more parameters in there to control it, but we're getting there. We have weights for highlighting, so that you can actually make the things that highlight come up in a higher weight so it's easier to see them. There's a little blue star on the view so that it just pops up the view positions. The idea of that is that you're not setting the view positions, that's done under that yellow star on a view. It just puts up the list so you can just quickly pick the view positions rather than have to do a walk right list. With Drainage 2D, there's actually a 30,000 wet cell version available free of charge, so you can run things like road flow, so you can run up to 30,000 wet cells without having to pay any money and see how it actually can do the work for you. Because over time, most drainage analysis, we're looking at where the water is going above the ground, will be done in 2D once they can get the computing times down for it. And then once it goes though into the pipes, then we use our dynamic drainage analysis, so the two are hooked together. So you just have to, the terrain will tell you where the water will go and how it will then flow through the pipes and things. You won't have to make all these 1D approximations. So there's a 30,000 wet cell thing there for you to play around with for road flow to get some ideas of how it's going to work for you. We can write our attributes out to IFCs. So as people know more about BIM and what they want, we've been doing more things such all the 12D attributes, and we're just now upgrading our IFC Express Writer, so you can nominate what property sets, as they call that they want, what names they are, and what attributes you want in it to go out to your BIM objects. With 2018, we are working on 12D Model 14, and we're doing some of the things hopefully you've asked for. There's hundreds of these things, but I'll just mention some of the big ones. So in 12D Field, it's actually now going to have a combined pick up and set out. So rather than have different settings for one, helmets for the other and so on, it is now one integrated system. So they'll make 12D Field much more powerful for everybody, and the two parts of it are totally integrated. The multi-page plots, now this is basically a major enhancements to MPS, what was called the multi-page sheets. And it's going to be a major thing where you can break all your plots into your book and chapters and pages and set things automatically that then run right through. If you set it for the book, it'll work for every page and so on. So I think you'll all enjoy that for producing plots from 12D. There's always more plot parameters going in. So we look through your wishes and things and add plot parameters in, hopefully so you can get away from manual drafting. And always let us know. The more we can do more automatically, then the less you have to do in drafting. So we're always happy to hear of the extra plot parameters we can put in for you. We're putting in an IFC writer. Now, IFC, as I said, that's industry foundation classes. That's what has to be used for open BIM. So in the BIM world, that's where it has to be used. The whole idea of BIM and open BIM is that you don't have just a proprietary software package format. And the IFC is what's supposed to be used internationally. And for the Queensland government have issued last year to say that the government is all moving towards open BIM in Queensland, and so they will need IFCs. So we can write out what's called IFC 2x3 in V12, but in the 12D Model 14, we also be able to write out 2x4, which was released about a year or 18 months ago, but not many people use it, and then the new 4x1. Now, these both have what we call a step format, which is an old format, but these newer ones also have an XML format. And so we'll be able to write each of those formats. And we'll be able to read all of those formats as well. So we can read the 2x3, the 2x4, and we'll also be able to read and write, as I showed, the IFC alignment and tins as part of IFC 4x1, which will be released later this year. There's another thing that all of you in Australia are only here, although other places will go through the same thing, and this is called GDA 2020. I'll just mention briefly, because we'll have other webinars on these sorts of things later in our conference, but basically the world is moving, or Australia is moving in relation to London at about 7 centimetres per year, so our longitude and latitude actually changes. So at the moment we're using what's called model of GDA 94, which is where the Australia was in relation to London back at 1994. But we've now moved about 1.8 metres. So we're going to have a whole new longitude and latitude system come in where we're adjusting for that extra 1.8 metres. And that's going to be called GDA 2020. So it's just to make up for the fact that we do move, our continent's drifting. We move about the same rate as a fingernail grows. So it's slow, but over time, as I say, since 1994, it's moved 1.8 metres, and that's a real horror. Imagine if you're driving down the road in an autonomous vehicle and you're out by 1.8 metres. Or if you're property bound, your thing on your property was actually 1.8 metres too close to the person next door. You might have to pull it down. So that's going to be an important thing that's in 12D Model 14. We've also got a model tree. This is where you just don't have a model name, but you can have so you can have Fred / Joe / and so on. So it allows you to collect data together rather than just having a whole lot of models with totally separate names. The drainage and sewer string is going to be replaced by a water string. As you probably know, that the drainage and sewer string actually does drainage, foul water, and also fresh water. So there are three things in there, what we call the three waters. So rather than calling it drainage sewer, it will become the water string, and you'll pop up which application you're using it for. There's going to be extended pits in the water string. So these are pits that aren't just round or rectangular, but have a bit of a straight side and circles at the end. We'll also be introducing risers into the pits. So you have the base of it, but you also then have the riser going to the surface. So again, to make it more important modelling, not so much the analysis, but again, more so when you put this data out to BIM or visualise it, they're more and more accurate of what the pit really is. Another thing is we've got the GPU usage for TUFO calculations. This is an extra module, but what it is the TUFO engine can then use the graphics processing unit on your computer, and that can actually make these things run up to 10 or 20 times faster. So if you've got really large TUFO runs, then using the TUFO GPU should speed up quite a bit. The analysis that's done that is slightly different to the standard TUFO, and we'll have talks and things on that so that people can decide, yes, I can use it, and yes, I want the speed ups, and the results are what I want. The Australian Rainfall and Runoff 2016, better known as AR&R 2016. I'll just say a bit more about this because it's going to be fairly important. The AR&R specifies all the information of rainfall and runoff to be used throughout Australia, and it hasn't been updated for quite a while. And it gives you information about how much rainfall and stuff to use for different storms and sizes at a particular place. This has been updated in a big way, and so the major thing is that instead of running one event, you have to run 10 events. So basically, you're going to be doing things heaps more. So for every event, you've got to run 10 storms, say, and then we use the mean, excluding the outliers, to take the results. So basically, you're doing almost a statistical thing where you're doing a number of runs and then taking almost the average. And then the critical storm is the worst case for all those critical duration events, and it's done for every attribute. So for each one, you look at catchment flows, pipe flows. So for you look at the 10 different results and work it out. So it's actually going to take a lot more processing. But that's what we're moving to. And to get to the data to go to it, where before they just released books and you had maps, now when you come to do a job, you'll jump onto the internet, which you can do with inside 12D Model 14, and you say where you are, and it will download the data for you to use for those storms. And you would record that with your project because that information may be updated fairly regularly. So basically, every time you start a new project, you should then go in and get the latest data for it. So there's big changes there, and this is not then a rational method. So you have to have the dynamic drainage analysis module to do it, and it's going to take about 10 times as long to run because you're going to have to do 10 events rather than one. So it's a big change for people, but it'll come in. It's really moving people off the rational method for drainage to dynamic drainage analysis. So for it, we've got all sorts of results for box plots, storms, saying all the sort of things you had before. For this AR&R 2016, you'll be able to more or less pick the same options. You won't have to make too many changes except for going to your data to get the data, and you'll have to watch it run for longer. So you'll be able to get various box plots showing all the 10 different runs and showing you the outliers and then where the average is that we've used. And similarly, there's hundreds and hundreds of storms and we run through all this data and work out the ones that are used in your reports. So that's the major thing. You'll need a dynamic drainage analysis, and you'll have a bit more patience because it'll take at least 10 times as long to run. We're going to have a what's coming in 12D model webinar, because 12D model for 14 will be released at the conference, but we will at least have a webinar just saying briefly, this will be a short one, just to say what is coming before the conference, so you know what we're going to be doing at the conference. So there'll be an industry solutions webinar early in this year talking about what is coming in 12D Model 14. Now 12D View, that's been around and talked about for a long while. We have done a 12D View 12, which we've been putting up on our 12D Model forum so our users can test and come up with suggestions for improvements and things. And it really is basically now a cut down version of 12D Model. So the views, section views, but they're all there. Originally we were writing it so it was a totally different thing, but we found that that was just too difficult, so we're basing it on 12D View, 12D Model, so you all know how to use it. So it is going to be free, so it's to look at 12D Model projects. So you can use your existing 12D V12 nodes, file and dongle. So if you've got a dongle there, 12D View can run. You don't have to do anything at all. It'll use that and know, oh, it's okay. It does not take a license. It does not take a license for those dongles, but if it's there, it can check that you've got a version, an actual running version of 12D Model 12 and says, therefore you can run 12D View. But if you wish to have it on a computer without a 12D Model dongle, you can actually just register and we'll send you what's almost a nodes file for that computer, and you have to register for each computer, but then you can run 12D View without a dongle. So if you've got an existing 12D Model and you're set up and can use 12D Model, just install the 12D Viewer and it'll just run. If you haven't, you just need to register it for that particular computer and then it will run. You might have noticed, because we keep working on this to as we see how it's going to go, the latest version of 12D Model View actually reads 12DA files. So we actually can read 12DA data in it and then look at it. You can't save from 12D View, but it can actually read in 12DA. And what will be coming is you'll be able to soon read in IFC 2x3 files. Most IFC files for BIM at the moment are 2x3. So you should be able to read any of the BIM file that you're given in the industry standard IFC 2x3 format. Now, 12D Synergy, as you all know, that's a new product that we released a couple of years ago. And it's also hooked into, but it has its own separate website as well. But there's a link on our own website to the Synergy website. And when you go over there, it looks different. It's bluey colors and stuff like that. And it's on www.12dsynergy.com. There's some new things on there, like you can book a demo or take a tour. Booking a demo is fairly straightforward. When you take the tour, it then has a whole lot of areas there you can click on and get more information on it. So you can see that there's about data management, project collaboration, 12D model management. So there's more information on each of the major sections of 12D Synergy. For 12D Synergy, 2017 was a record year for them. They made more sales and not just made more, probably quadrupled the previous years. And for those who don't know about 12D Model Synergy, basically it looks after data. It also looks after 12D model projects and looks after emails, looks after your Word documents. So it's a document management system, but also a data management system and an email management system. So it's just not for one. So with email management, you've got automatically filing and searching of emails. It plugs in to run Synergy from things like Word, Excel, and Outlook. So there's plugins so you can run it from those packages. There's also plugins for CAD, things like BriskCAD, AutoCAD, Civil 3D. There's reference managements. So if you're XREF, data shortcuts, Word templates and things. There's managed folders. This is very, very important because most document management systems only manage individual files. But what you can do in 12D Synergy is you can say, I want to manage this whole folder and all the things below it. So products that have more than one just file, 12D Synergy is perfect for it. So things like QFlow, XP Swim, ListCAD, those sorts of things can be all handled quite well with 12D Synergy because we can manage folders and manage them correctly. We also have file publishing and web drops. File publishers when you send people out information, and that means when you do it that way, when they click on it and actually download the data, you get a record of when they've done it. So you know who and who hasn't actually got the data. And web drops, you can set it up so people can then drag and drop their information to send you into an area, and it then all gets totally recorded with inside 12D Synergy and dates and everything like that. You can also control the names of jobs and files. There's very good naming conventions in there, which just makes things run smoother in a firm. Everyone follows the same naming convention. And what there is what we call a file replication server, or an FRS for short. This is actually when you have offices spread around different places or whatever. Rather than getting all your data from the one main Synergy server, you still talk to that server, but we then can copy the data over at night or a time that you want to a file replication server, which might be in your own office or much more closer to you than where the main server is. And so it's only pulling it from somewhere much closer, so it's going to be much, much faster. And that data will then get updated, say, every night or whatever you set it to be. So that makes it you can have huge networks and still don't have speed problems. There's a lot of major projects now that have been used in 12D Synergy, things like the Toowoomba Second Range Crossing, the Ipswich Motor upgrade, the Rockley to Darra one, the Bruce Highway upgrade, M1, M3 upgrade in Queensland, West Connects in New South Wales, North Connects. These are all projects. That's why it's so busy at the moment with all these projects going on. In New Zealand, the North Canterbury Transport Infrastructure Recover, that's called Nectar for short. That's where the new earthquake came just north of Christchurch, and so there's about 500 people there because the big road collapsed and also the train tunnels collapsed. So it's a very big job which has been totally done in 12D model and 12D Synergy. The Messenger Alliance in New Zealand and Transmission Gully Motorway in New Zealand. Again, two big road jobs that have been done inside 12D model and with 12D Synergy. But you can use 12D Synergy without 12D model. You can just use it for your emails and other data, but it also handles 12D model very well. So there's a whole lot of consultants and major consultants, small consultants, people like Main Roads Transport in Queensland. It's not just for the big boys, 12D Synergy. We have people with only 1 or 2 man shows and right up to major consultants. So don't think it's just for the big boys. It's priced for everybody. Some of the things now, 12D Synergy 4 is the coming product. It's got new CAD features, a workflow engine, some mapping and spatial surface, those naming rule enhancements for files and things. It's optimized to run much faster and also looking at how many people can be hold. We've got customers now with about 400 users, so we know it works up to 400 users quite okay. So if your company's got less than 400 users, have no problem. Synergy runs very well, but we're looking at the next step, 1,000, 2,000, 5,000 users. So that's where we're working on a lot of optimization of that. But be assured, if you've got less than 400 users, then Synergy's already working in places up to that level. And the whole usability issues that, like everything, people find better ways of doing things, cutting the clicks. We work on that all the time for you. The 12D model management in version 4, it's got project templates. You can cache your customized mode so that it's downloaded at startup if required. You can offline many projects. This is where you want to offline a 12D model project out of Synergy and take it away somewhere. You had to do them one at a time. Now you can offline many projects and you can check in many projects. Interesting there. So you can check in many projects. Again, if you've offline them, it's easy to bring them back in. And there's also 12D model planning integrating within 12D Synergy. So things like drawing register, MPS, title block attributes from 12D Synergy, and you can plot straight from 12D model into 12D Synergy. So there's a lot of things happening with 12D model. But on the outside, there's a whole lot for issuing and transmissions. This is where now you can attach a cover sheet and use global lists and job-specific ones to send information out to people. So you can notify users of issued file sets. So it looks after all that sort of stuff with you. There's CAD ribbons in various products like BricsCAD, AutoCAD, Civil 3D, and others including AutoCAD Map, Mechanical, Architectural, and Plant 3D. So you can access Synergy right from the ribbon inside those products. With referencing and XREFs, there's support for the new reference types for DWG, images, PDF, point clouds, and data links. You get notifications when the references on the server change. There's ability to check out and edit reference DWGs. And there's a reference graph. So this is like with the DWG, it shows you a little graph of where all the reference files have come from. Very good when you've got a complicated thing to see where all your information has come from. With the drawing register, you can be using your existing spreadsheets for it, or you can actually have your attributes with an attribute editor single inside 12D, in 12D Synergy, or you can have there's a bulk attribute editor. So these allow for attributes which are automatically embedded and updates. The sheet set manager, a lot of people want their sheet sets looked after. It's automatically updated when you changed on the server. You're prompted for check-in and check-out of sheets within the sheet set. You can import sheets from 12D Synergy. With Civil 3D, all the above functionality is available, plus data shortcuts, so it automatically downloads the latest version of your data shortcuts into your workspace as required. With workflows, a very big thing that people are getting into inside 12D Synergy, which the workflows tell you what you're allowed to do and do you have to do this, do that. A lot of people are using it for their QA systems, so it forces them, and a number of people now use 12D Synergy for their QA and had it passed for the ISO standards. So we just allow you to much more easily put them together for common processes with gates and things like that. So you can compose your actions, graphically and show. So you can say, lock a file for review, or assign the workflow and email the reviewer and so on. So they're much, much improved for 12D Synergy 4. There's enhanced reporting. So it's got new reports are shipped out of the box, new report scheduler to automatic email and save reports, and there's a whole lot of dashboard gadgets for looking at the information. For this 12D Synergy 4, there's a spatial search. So you might say, show me all the other jobs that are within 500 meters of my current job. So in that case, it'll go and grab and show you an image and put dots and things on there, what these various jobs are. So you might want all the dial and dig reports before you go out for that. So if you've got all that information, it's got spatial information with it, you can do spatial searches. There's going to be a what's coming in 12D Synergy 4 webinar, because 12D Synergy 4 is actually now in beta. Because for a whole firm to go on to 12D Synergy, of course, it affects more than just your 12D model users. So we really have to give a good caning before it ever gets out there, because your whole company has to go onto it. So, or not just your whole company, but it's usually much larger set than just your 12D model users. So it's being hammered now, getting ready for the conference. So it is in beta. It's going to be released at the 12D conference in 2018. But there will be an industry webinar coming up early in 2018, just saying what actually is coming in 12D Synergy 4. To let you know, so you can go on the conference and hear more details about it. Another feature we've got is our Innovation Awards. They're coming up for 2018. Again, that's on our website. Now, this is where we give you money. So basically, there's categories with cash and training and prizes and trophies. So there's a whole lot of things you can get out of it. So effectively, there's a design and visualization, which is worth over $2,000. I think it's $1,000 cash and $1,000 in training, plus some trophy. Similarly, there's a section on just survey and construction, one for 3 waters, another for customization, and one on banishing the drafting demon. So all of those are separate things which we give out a prize. We also give out certificates for some of the runners-up. We also have certificates where it's broken into, say, major, government, and small firms. So even if you're a small firm, you can still win these things, no problem at all, or potentially get a certificate. And we found it's often the small firms who come up with things that do win these. It's not just the big companies with big projects. But then there's an overall winner. So we pick one who's the best of all of those, and they actually get about $5,500 worth of value. So there's cash, training, and coming to the next conference in 2020. So with the Innovation Awards, we are giving you money. So you should go and look it up and actually do it. All we want is information about your project. It doesn't have to be huge, extensive. It might be only a couple of pages. That's all you need, and you can come and collect the money. So to get more information, just go to our 12D website, www.12d.com, and just click on there so you can go and register. So the form's there is to register and say what your entry is, and then you'll send us all the information later on to go with it so we can judge it. So it's all done through the website. The closing is 11 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time on the 30th of April 2018. So get into it. We're giving you money, and if you look back on the website of previous winners, it's going to be just a small 3-man show, or probably more often than the big multinational companies. So get into it so you can get some good prizes. We hand it out at the conference. At the dinner there, we hand out the prizes, but you don't have to be there to get the prize. It's not one of those sorts of things. And can team enter? Yes, you can enter individually or a team. You can have more than one entry. So you might have a few entries in these different sections, and could be for your whole team, or you might then also have individual entries. All of those you can do. And as I said, there's about $17,000 when you add it all up in cash, training, trophies, certificates, and so on. So it's quite a big hit for you, that if you can get part of that, why not? And you've all got some great projects out there, so it doesn't take too long to put together an entry and get it in there and get a trophy and the kudos and cash for your pocket. With this, the 12D conference that's coming up in 2018, just a little bit about that. Typically, we had about 400 or so people up there. So this is a little picture from our last conference, everyone who actually, or most of them who attended. So basically, what do we do at this conference? We have basic talks by industry on using 12D model and 12D synergy. So these aren't sales pitches by us. These are talks by real people on real projects where they've used both of these products separately or together, and they'll tell usually warts and all. So it's a great way of seeing what other people are doing with 12D model out there or 12D Synergy, and you can learn a lot just by hearing how they get up to it. There's what we call birds of a feather training sessions. This is where for half the conference we have talks were all together, but for the other half we broke out into sessions for design, a different one for survey, one for 3 waters, and one for 12D Synergy. In that case, we tend to do much more detail just for that group, and a lot of it is like training, showing you how to use options to great detail. And most of that will then be, say, on 12D Model 14, so it'll show you how all the new features, because 12D Model 14 will be released at the conference, and it will be there this time, so that you can then look and take it away after the conference and start using it. So this is where for people coming, there's virtually free training if you come along the conference for 3 days, so well worth it just for that. We have technical talks on 12D Model 12 and 14 in both the talks we're all together and also in these individual birds of a feather, and similarly for 12D Synergy. So there's a great variety of things for you to see and learn. There's a welcome event. That's where for the first evening we all get together, have some nibbles and drinks. There's a conference dinner where we give the innovation awards out. Usually there's an entertainer there, and that runs on the second evening. So they're usually been great events. And we hand out the innovation awards. There's also an exhibition area, so a number of the people we work with, the survey manufacturers, other software people, and even ourselves, we have little booths there so you can come and ask questions, see things. And so you go to that during the lunchtime, morning tea and afternoon tea, or before we start. So you can go and find out more information about all the other products there, and even ask as many questions at the different stands we have on 12D Model. There's usually someone there for each of our areas you could talk to on 3 waters, or it's a survey, or design, and so on. Plotting, people are there to answer your questions. So with the 12D conference, when is it? It's actually Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday in July, the end of the July. There's a Sunday in there, so you can say to all your bosses, look, I have to go on my own time, so I'm really giving to go to this conference. It starts at, say, about 10 o'clock on the Sunday, so you can maybe be able to fly in on the Sunday morning. And it's full. Don't think you're going on a holiday. When you come to our conference, you are flat out getting information the whole time from 9 till 5. So there's no golf, there's none of that other muck. It's full giving you information. Where is it? It's where we've been for the last 4, 5, 6 conferences at the Brisbane Convention Exhibition Centre, which is in obviously South Bank, Brisbane. The cost is $800 Australian plus GST for the 3 days, and that includes the welcome event and a conference dinner. So you're not going to get a cheaper conference than this one, especially when you get all that training in there. But you also can come, there's day rates, and you can have just an extra guest come along to the welcome event and conference dinner. So how to actually register for it? Just go to our website. There's an online form for you to register there. And you can also, if you wish, do credit card payments right there. So if you want to pay for it straight away, you can do so using a credit card, or we'll send you an invoice and you can pay it in the sort of normal manner. So both of those are available for you. So that's our big event in 2018 to really launch our products, 12D Synergy 4 and 12D Model 2018. 12D Model, 14, but it also will be looking at a lot of stuff in 12D Model 12 and also the earlier 12D Synergy 3. So it's not just about the new product, because a lot of you might take a while, a year before you upgrade. It's both there, both things for you. But there's a couple of, just about finished here, there's a couple of major announcements though for 12D Model 12. We have been developing, as I said, an IFC 2x3 reader for V14. So this is so you can read in your open BIM data in IFC form. But what we're actually doing, and it's going to do 2x3 in version 14, 2x4 and 4x1 as it's called. But what we've done for those version 12 users on maintenance, the IFC 2x3 reader, and that's what most IFC files are at the moment, which we've been developing for 14, is going to be available for use in version 12, C1M. So we pulled this down, this development, from version 14, so more and more people can start reading in IFC data rather than having to get some other proprietary format, like say something like a DWG or an FBX from Revit. So we're starting, so you'll be able to use the proper things that's supposed to be used for BIM and Open BIM in version 12. There's going to be an industry webinar on IFCs, on reading them, so that'll be available if you have a quick idea of how it's going on. And there's going to be training courses available, which will then run this year, for not only just reading the BIM data, but also how to produce it and get the data out there. Because BIM is still vague for a lot of people, especially civil BIM. So this course will take you through how to do it, how you can bring in different file types, including IFCs, and then how you also can write it out or write out various attributes as property sets into IFCs and then read it in with things like Solubri to check it all. So that's going to be a training course that's going to be on this year. So that's a major thing. It's been in testing in version 12 at the moment, and it'll come out shortly because we go C1K is about to be posted, and then C1M. We're jumping over L, and it'll be available to everyone there. If you want to test that, we have it tied to a little module at the moment, so we are happy for people to get on contact with us if they want to test this step reader out before it's totally released in version 12D Model 12 C1M. The other thing is Australian rain airfoil and runoff. We've also brought that down so it's available in version 12. So we've written it for version 14, but again, a lot of people are being asked about at the moment, so we've pulled it down into version 12. You need to be on maintenance, and you have to have the dynamic drainage analysis module because that's what it uses in the background. It's not for rational, it's got to be used dynamic analysis. And so that's actually there, and it's going to be for use again in version 12 C1M. We have people testing it out at the moment in C1K, and then it'll be available for everyone with the maintenance and the dynamic drainage analysis in version 12 C1M, which should be then possibly in a couple of weeks after C1M. After version 12 C1K. So that's a major thing. For those two things, instead of having to wait, they're going to be available for you to use. There's going to be an industry webinar on ARNR 2016, sort of outlining what it's all about. And I did give you a little bit of information earlier on, but it'll go through it a little bit more. And we'll have training courses available as well. So you'll be able to come in and get properly trained up in that from our experts in those areas. So there are two major things that we're doing for the 12D Model 12, which you won't have to wait for the conference for. So basically, for Alan and I, and all the 12D Solutions team and all our 12D resellers, it's been a fantastic year, a record year for lots of them. It's both on the 12D model side, it's just fantastic to see all the new licenses going out there, and for the 12D Synergy side, for a new product, it's just ramping up very, very rapidly with over I think there's 2,500 users out there of it already. So it's been a great year to see all these things happening and just see how many people are using 12D model and 12D Synergy right through all the industries. So we look forward to working with you in 2018, and we definitely look forward to meeting you in person at our 12D conference in Brisbane in the end of July. So thank you very much for listening. At any time, any information, just get us in touch. And as I say, I look forward to meeting all of you at the 12D Model Conference.
Thanks, Leigh. I think I've been answering some audience questions on the way through, just typing here, but there was one that came through I thought others might be interested in your answer to if you're happy to take one live. I am talking about, do we require a new nodes file for 12D Model 14?
Yes, I just have to unmute myself there. Yes, 12D Model 14 will be like our previous versions. It'll probably be a database bump so that you won't be able to open it in 12D Model 12, and you will need a new nodes file for 12D Model 14 when it comes out. The two products, the two things, the IFC 2x3 reader and the ARNR 2016, once they're into version 12, you won't need a new nodes file for that. It'll run if you've got the correct modules in version 12.
Perfect, thank you very much. And thanks everyone for your questions on the way through. I hope we've been able to deal with those to your satisfaction. Sorry to anyone we haven't dealt with live, but yeah, I think there might be a couple to email afterwards, so I'll get the sales team onto them. Our next Industry Solutions webinar will be Folder Structure Best Practices on the 31st of January. Register for that one now if you haven't already, and keep an eye on our emails and social media channels for everything else. If you need to contact us in the meantime, our details are on the screen now. That concludes our presentation for today. Thank you for attending, and we hope to see you at future webinars.